So, have you ever really stopped to think about how you're even seeing this right now? In this explainer, we're going to break down the incredible science that makes it all possible, the absolute miracle of your own vision. I mean, we take it for granted every single second of the day, right? But how does all the light from the world around us turn into a picture inside our heads? Let's dive in. You see, the trick is to stop thinking of your eye as just, well, an organ, and start thinking of it as this incredibly advanced piece of biological hardware. And to really get it, all we have to do is follow a single ray of light on its journey. All right, so let's introduce our main character, the human eye. And yeah, we're comparing it to a camera for a very good reason. Forget your fancy smartphone for a minute. This is the original. And you know what? It's still the ultimate imaging device. If you could actually, hold your eye in your hand, you'd realize it's pretty much a perfect little sphere. This whole structure, the eyeball, is the housing for all the amazing tech that makes sight possible. And what's crazy is all that power is packed into this tiny space. We're talking about a sphere that's only about 2.3 centimeters across. That's smaller than a ping pong ball. Okay, so let's actually do that. We're going to follow one single ray of light as it makes its way into this biological camera and meets all the key players one by one. This is where the magic really starts. First stop is the cornea. Now, you might think the lens inside your eye does all the work, but what's incredible is that this clear outer window does about 80% of the heavy lifting. It performs the first, most powerful bend of the light. Okay, so after that, the light has to actually get inside. That's where the iris comes in. That's the colored part of your eye. It works exactly like a camera's aperture, opening and closing to change the size of the pupil. It's constantly adjusting, letting in just the right amount of light. Tucked right behind the pupil is the crystalline lens. And this is the eye's unbelievable autofocus system. It's this flexible little piece of tissue that physically changes its shape to fine-tune the focus, letting you snap from looking at something up close to something miles away in a fraction of a second. Now get ready for a truly mind-bending fact. Because this is a convex lens, the image it projects is actually flipped upside down. Yeah, you heard that right. Right now, as you're looking at this, the world is being projected onto the back of your eye completely inverted. So where does this upside-down picture end up? It gets projected onto the retina. This is a super thin layer of tissue at the very back of the eye. You can think of it like the digital sensor in a camera, and it's just packed with millions of tiny, light-sensitive cells. And here comes the most critical handoff in the whole process. The retina's job is to translate that upside-down image from the language of light into the language of the brain. We're talking electrical signals. Those signals then zip down the optic nerve. And your brain, well, it not only deciphers the image, but thankfully, it also flips it right side up for you. But this whole amazing process hinges on one thing. That image has to land perfectly on the retina. So what happens when that focus is just a little bit off? Well, that leads us right into some really common vision problems. And this really breaks it down perfectly. If you're nearsighted, your eye is basically a little too powerful. It focuses the image before the light even gets to the retina. If you're farsighted, it's the opposite. The true focal point is somewhere behind the retina. Either way, the picture that actually lands on the retina is blurry. The solution, though, is absolutely brilliant. Glasses or contacts, they work by doing a little bit of pre-focusing before the light even gets to your eye. They bend the light just enough so that your eye's natural lens can take it the rest of the way and nail that landing perfectly on the retina. It's all about teamwork. So we get focus, but that's just sharpness. Where does all the vibrant color in our world come from? It turns out the secret has been hiding in the light this whole time. You know, the sunlight we see every day, we call it white light, but it isn't really white at all. It's actually a cocktail, a mix of all the colors of the rainbow blended together. And you know what? We can actually prove it with a simple piece of glass. This whole process of splitting white light into its component colors, it's called dispersion. And a prism is the perfect tool for revealing this hidden spectrum. Now, what's really cool here is the why. See, when white light hits the prism, each color slows down just a tiny bit differently. This difference in speed causes each color to bend at its own unique angle. Violet light gets bent the most, red light gets bent the least, and everything else spreads out right in between them, creating that beautiful spectrum we all know. And this very same principle, this idea of dispersion, when it happens on a massive, massive scale, well, that's what creates one of nature's most incredible and beautiful sights. So how in the world does this make a rainbow? Well, obviously, there's no giant glass prism up in the sky. Instead, right after it rains, the air is full of millions of tiny floating water droplets, and every single one of those droplets is its own tiny, perfect prism. And inside every one of these millions of raindrops, a little three-step dance is happening. Step 1, sunlight goes in and it bends and splits into all its colors. Step 2, those colors bounce off the inside back wall of the raindrop. And Step 3, the light bends one last time as it exits, sending that perfect little rainbow of colors straight towards your eye. So just think about that. From the complex mechanics of that tiny little sphere in your head to a massive, colorful arc across the sky, it's all part of the same amazing journey. It's just light, being interpreted by your eye and your incredible brain. So that leaves me with one last question for you. The next time you look up and see a rainbow, what are you really seeing? Is it just the cold, hard physics of light and the biology of your eye, or is there maybe just a little bit of magic in it too? Maybe the real answer is that it's both.